Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Abby and I am trying to be a semi-homesteader. So basically what that means is that I really want to be a homesteader. I really want to live off the land to be more self-sustaining, but we live on 3 acres in a community. So we have an HOA that prevents us from having anything other than like chickens and bees. So we can't keep big animals, we can't keep our own cows, things like that. But I still want to learn all of the homesteading skills like canning and dehydrating food and preserving all of our food, making it last through, you know, the winter months and things like that. So I call it semi-homesteading because we might not be able to do everything, but we can definitely build all of these skills to live off the land more and be more independent. And hopefully not have to buy everything from the store. So we're trying to grow things, preserve things, all of that. And the first skill I attempted to learn was making my own butter. So I documented my process a little bit about how I made butter. It's actually super easy, so anyone can do it at home, and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing I did when I was trying to make butter, as you are probably doing right now, is researching how it's actually done. So she milks the cow and does everything with that milk. So I follow this woman's Instagram page. The Instagram handle is called Ballerina Farm. And basically this woman was a ballerina who then moved to a farm with her husband, and now they have 7 kids and they raise all these animals, and they truly are like real farm runners and homesteaders and things like that. So she makes all of her own butter because they have a milk cow, like making yogurt, cheese, and of course butter. And so she documented actually how to make butter. And I was shocked at how easy it is. So if you had a cow and you could just milk the cow, basically what you would do is just milk it, put it in a big jar, and then let the milk settle from the cream. So the cream forms this line on top, and that's basically heavy whipping cream. So all you have to do then is whip that cream enough so that the buttermilk will separate from the butter fat. And then you just have to strain out the buttermilk and then knead the butter fat until you have like a stick of butter. So it's really not that complicated. You're literally just taking heavy cream and whipping it until these things separate and making it into a ball. I had no idea that it was that easy, but that's all I had to do. So I don't have the option of milking my own cow and getting my own cream and everything like that. So I just went to Trader Joe's and bought heavy whipping cream. Now it has to be pasteurized or raw for this to work. So I just got like ultra pasteurized heavy whipping cream from Trader Joe's. And it's very simple. So I have a KitchenAid, and all I had to do was pour the heavy whipping cream into the KitchenAid, and then you basically just work your way up from 0 to 10 on the speed scale. So you don't want to do it all really fast at first because it's all just going to fly out. But 1 to start, get it a little bit whipped, and then slowly put your speed up until you're at 10. Now you might have to cover it with a towel a little bit so it doesn't splatter. It depends on what your cooking style is. I mean, I know Julia Childs would just have like flour flying everywhere, and she did not care. So if you're like that, that's fine. But for the sake of my kitchen, I just put a little towel over it when we were getting up to the higher speed so it wouldn't splatter everywhere. So then eventually it becomes like whipped cream. It looks very thick, like whipped cream would, which is what you would expect for putting heavy whipping cream into a KitchenAid. I've made whipped cream a bunch of times using this method, and you just whip it up a little bit. But to make butter, you go past that point. So as soon as you see whipped cream, normally you would stop if you're actually trying to make whipped cream, but you just keep going, keep the speed up. And within about 10 minutes, I noticed that things were starting to separate. So I stopped a few times to like scrape the edges of the bowl and scrape off the little whisk in the middle and stuff like that. I use the whisk attachment, and so it can get like conglomerated in the middle of the whisk. But that's actually a good sign that the buttermilk and the butter fat separated, and you're pretty ready to start kneading your butter. So once you see that the butter is kind of clumpy and then you stop the KitchenAid and there's some liquid at the bottom, that means you're separated. So what you need to do now is just strain the buttermilk from the butter. Now, it would have been a very smart idea for me to strain it into a container and save the buttermilk and use the buttermilk in some other recipe. But we just moved into this new house, which is why this background is this. It won't be like this forever. But most people, when they make butter, you know, the byproduct is buttermilk, and so they save it, refrigerate it, and just use it in another recipe. Well, I wasn't cooking that much like in the first week of moving here. We didn't have our baking stuff unpacked. So I just kind of wasted the buttermilk. Shame on me. But you can save it and use it for another recipe, which is ideal. So once you strain it, you're gonna wanna gather the clumps of butter together, and you're also gonna wanna do this over some sort of bowl or the container with your buttermilk, because as you start kneading that butter together, the globs of butter together, a lot more buttermilk comes out. So you're gonna wanna squeeze it a few big times to like get a bunch of buttermilk out. And then what people do that I saw is that you just start your water at like kind of a drip, and you start running water over your butter as you need it. Now you wanna get all the buttermilk out. So if you see that there's any like cloudy liquid that's coming out, that means you're still getting buttermilk out. As soon as the water runs completely clear as you need it, then that means you're good. From my experience, when I was kneading the butter and the water ran clear the first couple times, I thought I was good, but I broke it in half and then kind of rearranged the butter. So I was kneading like a different portion. What used to be in the middle was now on the outside, and I still got more buttermilk out. So make sure you break it apart and like re-put it back together a few times as you're kneading it, just to make sure all of that internal buttermilk is also getting kneaded out. This is the point where you might want to add salt. If you need unsalted butter, you're good to just skip this step, and I skipped it the first time. But if you want salted butter, you can add salt here, just however much until the taste is what you want. There's no real rules here. So start with just a little bit of salt and add more if you think it should be saltier. But this one's up to your preference of if you want salted or unsalted butter. Okay, then for me, I did not have a butter mold. So basically I just made this very rustic looking butter log, like a stick of butter, and kind of just formed it with my hands and formed it, you know, kind of did this and made it into a rough shape of a butter stick. But I've seen these amazing butter molds online where you can make these beautiful designs and like pack in the butter, and then you scrape off the top. So it's a beautiful, just like stick of decorative butter. You can go either way. If you like the more rustic look, you can do it without a butter mold, or if you just don't want to buy a butter mold. I'm trying to move into the more minimalistic lifestyle, so I don't know if I'll be getting a butter mold because it tastes the same, but it is very pretty. So if you're more that route, you can do it without, but there are a bunch of Amazon butter molds that I've seen that look very, very good. That is how I made butter for the first time. If you have any other tips or tricks, again, this is my first time making butter, so I'm open to any tips that you have or anything that would make it easier. One of my family members is thinking about getting a cow at some point here soon, so I can't wait to try to do this with actual cow's milk straight from the cow. But anyway, that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and good luck in your butter making adventures. Bye everyone.